In the quiet darkness of an early July night in 2023, the Iranian Navy fixated its gaze on a defenseless target, an unsuspecting oil tanker, TRF Moss, making its way through the treacherous waters of the Persian Gulf. As captured in footage from the recent scene, tensions rose as a U.S. warship, USS McFaul, answered the distress call, ready to intervene. But the conflict didn't end there. Another oil tanker, Richmond Voyager, inadvertently fell into the crosshairs, facing the wrath of the Iranian Navy's aggression. With shots fired, the swift response of American naval forces became the only hope for salvation. Shadows of the Gulf. Ever since the Iran-Iraq War, long-standing tension has brewed between the naval forces of Iran and the United States in the Persian Gulf. Hostile encounters at sea between the two nations have occurred sporadically since the 1980s, as the U.S. has prioritized securing the Middle East's waterways, particularly the Strait of Hormuz, following President Jimmy Carter's speech in 1980. This commitment, known as the Carter Doctrine, pledged to protect American interests in the Persian Gulf and clashed with Iran's interests. Yet, most encounters involve the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, rather than Iran's official navy. The IRGC was known for harassing U.S. ships, although these incidents rarely escalated to live fire. These confrontations often occurred near the strategically important Strait of Hormuz, through which almost one-third of the world's seaborne oil passed. However, the actions of the IRGC Navy were not necessarily authorized by the Iranian state. General Kenneth F. McKenzie, Jr., a former head of the U.S. Central Command, emphasized that these activities were often the result of local commandos' irresponsible actions rather than directives from the government. Nonetheless, military leaders have repeatedly warned that such frictions increase the risk of rapid escalation. Even if the actions are not intentionally provocative, they can lead to dangerous misunderstandings. A fractured accord. In the 2020s, tensions have only risen in the Persian Gulf after the collapse of Iran's nuclear deal with world powers and the withdrawal of the United States from the agreement. President Donald Trump's decision to withdraw from the nuclear deal caused Iran to challenge the region. They seized tankers and were also accused by the Navy of placing lines near shipping lanes. The Trump administration introduced the Sentinel program, which involved escorting ships in the region with the participation of partner nations. However, there was limited support from Europe due to tensions following the collapse of the nuclear deal. In April and May of 2021, there were intense encounters between Iranian ships and U.S. warships in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. These confrontations were the first direct clashes between the United States and Iran in over a year. On April 2nd, 3 Iranian fast attack boats, accompanied by a larger vessel, approached and surrounded 2 U.S. Coast Guard ships, causing chaos in the peaceful waters. There was another incident on April 26th, when a U.S. patrol ship fired warning shots after 3 Iranian fast attack boats came dangerously close, within just 68 yards. This marked the first time warning shots had been fired at Iranian ships in about 4 years. Finally, on May 10th, a Coast Guard cutter had to resort to warning shots again, as 13 Iranian fast attack boats approached within 150 yards of 6 U.S. vessels. The escalating and repeated encounters between Iranian and U.S. naval forces increased tensions between both nations, but a peaceful resolution was nowhere in sight. The battle for control. In recent years, the Iranian Navy and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy have been progressively trying to take control of commercial ships. According to the U.S. Navy, from 2021, Iran has harassed, attacked, or captured 20 ships with international flags. Then, in early 2023, Iranian forces captured 2 tankers within a week of one another. In response to these incidents, the United States increased the number of ships and aircraft patrolling the Strait of Hormuz. By the spring, the U.S. made an important announcement. The Navy would strengthen its presence and defense in the Persian Gulf. John Kirby spoke on behalf of the White House National Security Council, expressing concern about Iran's repeated threats and assaults on commercial shippers who were simply exercising their rights in international waters. and informed reporters that the United States planned to take several actions to enhance its defensive capabilities in the region. As part of this effort, the United States, along with the British and French navies, implemented measures to ensure that more coalition ships pass through the strait regularly, as the passage is of paramount importance to the world's economy. Global oil transportation depends on this access, with about 1/5 of the world's oil supplies passing through it. Troubled waters. In an unconventional move, 3 Navy chiefs from the UK, France, and the US took a joint trip aboard the Arleigh Burke-class USS Paul Hamilton destroyer. As the coalition leaders navigated the tense waters, 3 fast boats approached the vessel, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. The boats confronted Hamilton's crew, their guardsmen standing menacingly with uncovered machine guns on their decks, ready for action. In turn, the sailors aboard Hamilton also prepared themselves, taking positions near their loaded machine guns. Some even took pictures and videos of the boats to document the encounter. Accompanying them was a journalist from the Associated Press who was there to report on the event. The Iranian boats near Hamilton and a passing British frigate, HMS Lancaster, created a tense atmosphere, a reminder of the challenges faced by civilian ships navigating the disputed waterway. The Iranian guard boats came as close as 1,000 yards. Like Vice Admiral Brad Cooper asserted, quote, "The shipping industry is mindful of what the security posture looks like in the region. We have the ability to positively impact that influence, and that's what we're doing now." But a couple of months later, the situation had not improved. Midnight hostilities. At 1 a.m. local time on July 5, 2023, the Iranian Navy targeted a commercial tanker named TRF Moss, sailing under the Marshall Island flag off the coast of Oman, as depicted in footage from the real events. As the tense succession of events unfolded, the U.S. warship USS McFaul arrived at the scene, dissuading the Iranian vessel from taking any hostile action. A few hours later, a second oil tanker, Richmond Voyager, also came under threat. The Iranian Navy attempted to stop the tanker sailing under the Bahamas flag. More than 20 miles off the coast of Muscat, in international waters, the Iranian Navy fired multiple shots in an attempt to force the tanker to comply. Fortunately, the U.S. naval forces swiftly responded to the distress call. The USS McFaul, along with surveillance assets like an MQ-9 Reaper drone and a Navy P-8A Poseidon aircraft, rushed to the rescue to ensure the safety of the tankers. When the Iranian Navy saw the U.S. warship approaching, they retreated. Thankfully, the shots fired by the Iranians did not cause any significant damage to the Richmond Voyager. Although some rounds hit the hull of the tanker near the crew's living spaces, no injuries were reported. According to the British maritime security firm Ambray, the Iranians had radioed the tanker and instructed it to stop, but when the tanker failed to comply, they resorted to firing shots. The following day, Tehran claimed that the Richmond Voyager had hit an Iranian ship, injuring 5 people. They argued they had a court order to seize the tanker, but the presence of the U.S. Navy in the Gulf prevented further escalation of events. Thank you for tuning in to Dark Footage. If you found this video captivating, we would greatly appreciate your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to all our Dark Documentaries channels to unlock a world of extraordinary moments from recent history. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest releases. Keep watching.